Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from your multicolored nightmares, I'll be your host, Dave Strumvor. Joining me, as always, DC area improv artist and comedian Sean Popple Ellis. How are you today, buddy?
David, I'm doing. How are you?
Listeners, I don't know if you know this. Sean recently legally changed his middle name to that popping sound. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he is now Sean Ellis. Okay, I was waiting for you to do it. There it is.
There it is.
Also
You're
joining
welcome.
us today straight from Hammerspace. It's the Bay Area's Matt Barron. How are you today,
God.
sir?
You know, Dave, I'm absolutely great.
Are you? I don't think you are. I think you're lying directly to me because you guys hate the Popples, which is what we'll be talking about today. The
What?
Popples.
Us hate the Popples.
Mm-hmm. Oh, listeners, if you only heard what we were talking about offline, these guys basically wanted to lynch me for suggesting it this week. The
Too
Popples. The Popples. Too soon. Well, you know, it's not too soon. A little bit of history on the
Oh,
Popples.
God.
We're just going to get right into it because there's a lot of just wackiness to talk about. So, Baron's going to walk us through the sordid history of the Popples.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's dark. But so the Popples, in a weird kind of turn for this show, was a toy and then a TV show. So they are these little kind of, I mean, they're marsupials,
Sure.
but they can go into their own pouch, which is this just not right.
No.
I mean, but anyway, yeah, exactly. It's kind of that pull your lip of your head and
Right.
swallow kind of visualization. But so they were created by those characters from Cleveland.
Hell
which
of a
is
start there. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a subsidiary of American Greetings,
Right.
and anything generated by a card company needs to be stopped immediately. But they're kind of like these bright 80s colored little, kind of half Care Bear, half kangaroo.
Sure. Yeah, maybe
I want
koala or
to
something.
pause. I want to pause, Matt, for like 2 seconds because
Yeah.
you had you yourself, Matt, had like a pause. You're like, they're these brightly colored little, and I wanted you to say little shits,
Brightly colored little
That's-
shits.
little gremlin-looking shits.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to tear this from A to Z in a minute. Want it to be professional for the history, though. Really name names. And speaking of names, Susan Trentel,
Oh,
who
Susan.
worked for TCFC,
Mhm.
created the first prototypes on Strawberry Shortcake and Care Bears, two of the worst shows ever made, and was the plush
Strong
designer
statement. Bold statement from
who
Matt Barron.
basically created the Popple. Supposedly, the idea came up from rolling socks.
What a bolt of inspiration from the blue. Rolling your socks together.
So let me see.
I'm
Matt,
doing laundry. Wait a minute, I've got an idea for a show.
Exactly.
That's
So correct me
infinitely
if I'm wrong.
less entertaining than laundry. Yeah,
Dirty Laundry inspired this fucking show.
nailed it.
Perfect.
You got
Let's
it.
get into it.
And not even just like, t-shirts or pants or, kind of like the A-list dirty laundry.
Right, exactly.
She went with the socks.
Yeah, the worst of the worst.
Which is basically one step up from like folding smear-marked underwear.
Yeah,
So
Oh boy.
that was a less well-known spin-off. Was the Skid Marks? It was a spin-off of Popples, but that did
no, we
not.
watched that. That's what we watched this week.
That's basically what we ended up watching. As you can probably tell, these guys, yeah, we're not a fan of this show. I suggested it because I think we just needed a little bit of a change up from sort of the action adventure series we'd been watching. In
And
hindsight,
change we did.
yeah, in hindsight, terrible decision. Terrible decision. So yeah, Matt talked about the actual toys that these things were based on, which most people, I think, kids of the 80s, I don't know, you probably remember the toys more and the commercials for the toys more than the actual show. The show wasn't on all that long. Let's see, it ran.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. Well, it wasn't like a 65 episode or like where we are kind of used to.
No, it did go 44 episodes.
It did. Well, I guess technically there were 47. 3 were unaired. I don't know why. Maybe there was public
What?
outcry. Yeah,
I-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go public
to,
outcry over the
to be able
Popples.
to get my what do you here's
I
my
spent
question.
5.5 hours on tour today looking for those three unaired episodes.
I think one of them was probably the drug episode, and things got real
Nah,
dark.
that's what I was looking for. I was gonna say, what do you think that those three unaired episodes contain?
It's got
Like,
to be
what was
all
like?
the drugs. Just Popples doing
What,
intravenous
yeah,
drugs like real
I was
hard.
going to say the Popples got into Dad's heroin
Yep,
stash.
you got it. And they probably
I like
saw
it.
themselves as like fully fleshed out Popples and just totally were tripping balls and just lost their yarn ball minds. But
Like by
yeah,
tripping balls, do you mean that they were pulling themselves into their own pouches and then tripping over each other,
yeah, 100%.
or
That's what I mean.
they were just
You,
super
it's like
high?
you're
Okay,
it's like you're in my mind. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, because that's what they do. Now, I mean, there were 47 or 44 episodes, but they were all only about like 12 minutes long. So you actually got two quote unquote episodes within a half-hour block of programming. So a lot fewer than we're kind of used to. And this is in the same kind of area of shows that we've talked about before. It was in the middle of September to until June, from 86 to 87, and these were actually a Saturday morning cartoon. So it wasn't just like a daily thing that was a Monday through Friday. This was only once a week, and it was Saturday mornings, and that's what it was meant for. And yeah, basically just to sell the toys, as you may have guessed. In a bit of an interesting turn here, from what we usually talk about, we are going to talk about the toys. We are going to talk about the cartoon series. We are also going to talk about the first episode of Popples, which was, hold on to your butts, a live action special.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was only about 20, 25 minutes long, but it was live action, had like very stereotypical like 80s suburban white family, these creepy as shit marionette and puppet Popples, who were somehow slightly more endearing than the cartoon versions of them.
I'm actually gonna say
Yeah,
that the live action episode made me cringe with delight.
with
Like it
delight.
was, yes, with
That's the
delight.
word
It
you
was
want to use?
With
so.
Okay.
with delight of Satan.
There were so many, and I'm sorry. Like I watched 3 episodes of the cartoon.
Yeah.
And I had a very challenging time.
Yeah.
Stomaching those 3 episodes. They were very hard to watch, but the live action was like there were parts of it that like just didn't like I don't know what it was. It just there were parts of it that just floored me as like a human being watching this now. Like thinking back on the 80s, I was like, oh my god, this like at one point my jaw just actually dropped to the floor, and I was like, this is either brilliant or this is horrifying. Like this is either like an amazing dream where like you're lucid and you're just like I'm dreaming and I'm having an awesome time, or this is like the stuff that nightmares are made of.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the latter. I'm gonna go nightmares because it is
Okay.
basically like, yeah, walking into a nightmare because everybody's acting like everything's fine and nothing's weird, but you're kind of just like this isn't real, right? Like someone's gonna come in and stop this at any moment, right? Like I'll just wake
Yeah, like
up
at
like,
some point there's gonna be like a dream wipe and you're
yes,
gonna realize that like
oh,
Bonnie's been in a
oh,
hospital
just
bed
Billy
the
and
entire
Bonnie in
time.
a coma from a car accident.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's gonna end like the 7th book from like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series. They're just gonna be like, oh, they've been dead the whole time. You're like, what
Spoiler alert.
the hell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's what
Whatever.
happened
Hey,
in the
look,
the three missing
hon-
episodes.
honestly, the books have been around for this long. The Popples have been around for this long. We're not spoiling anything.
True.
Shame on you if you haven't kept up with this crap.
If you haven't kept up with Popples in
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
30 years.
Shame
Yeah.
on you, asshole.
Yeah, the deepest shame you can feel. Like, how dare you?
Here's the funniest thing, though. These things are still around. Like, still around.
know.
And not in their previous versions. Like, they have evolved into a new version of Popples that you can still go out and buy. Now, I don't see them quite
A
as
much
much.
darker, much more evil Popples.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There are
No,
punk
it
rock
is.
Popples. Yeah, but there are
Instead of
punk
just-
rock Popples. All right?
Instead of just making a mess in the library, now you got Popples supporting ISIS.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Jesus
fuck.
Christ. I did not expect it to go there.
Well, what
Someone,
do you expect? It
listener,
was a much more naive time. In the
listener,
80s.
if
I
that
mean,
cracked you up and you are gifted with the photoshops, please send us your Popple rendition of ISIS. I would love to
yeah,
see
I
it.
mean, it was a much more
Oh,
naive time in
do
the
not
80s.
do
Yeah,
that.
that's
I don't
true.
want to get on any like
You don't wanna see
NSA
it?
watch list.
For
you
Popples?
jerk.
Come on.
For Popples.
It's just Popple terrorism. It's all right.
Populism.
Populism. Populism?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on before we get too far afield. Hey, as you might have guessed, that animated cartoon series, Deke Entertainment. How about that?
Yeah, Deke.
Good job, Deke. Bunch of
A
dicks.
bunch of deeks over a deek.
This is bad. This is kind of a black eye on you guys, man. This is pretty bad. Man, should we even like? What do you want to talk about the toys? Do you want to talk about the live action show? There's not a whole lot
Well,
of plot to get
no, I'm
into
actually
here.
so
It's
I know.
yeah,
I'm actually curious. Like, did you guys were you aware of Popples in your
yeah.
early like less than 10
Oh,
age 10-year
definitely.
old selves? And did you own Popples?
I'll let Baron go first because I don't know if he has or not. But
No, I was not aware of Popples and I did not own any, but just
And
kind of,
Matt's like, and I'm a better person for it.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
He's like, up
you
until
know
this
what?
moment, I was
I ca-
doing just fine.
yep, I came out on the other side just fine. But I do remember like kind of all the other toys and that like the Care Bears and that sort
Sure.
of group thing, and I mean it
Yeah.
was all just like kind of it all existed in a weird way to like support the other thing. Like the Care Bears had the TV show The Care
Right.
Bears, which were really only to sell more
Yeah.
bears. The Popples, had the sock industry, which was really only set up as
The
to
booming
up
textile
knee-high gym
industry of
socks.
the '80s. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, once the knee-high market dried up in the late '80s, and people switched over to cruise socks, the show just went off the air.
Yeah, so it's amazing how that happens. No, I do remember. I don't remember the show quite as much because honestly, when I suggested it, I didn't remember it being quite as fucking bananas and just completely mindless as it was. I more remember
Don't
the
forget
toys, and
pointless.
definitely 100% pointless. There's no point to this show. I do remember the toys though because I had one that's a spin-off Popple. I think I had two of like the regular, just kind of stock Popples, um, but I definitely had one of the sports Popples. So there's the regular Popples, which we'll talk
Oh,
about in a second, and then in later episodes of the series, they introduced a new set of Popples that were like just kind of weirder. They had quote unquote more personality, like the punk rockers and the baby Popples and these little puffball things that weren't quite full Popples. And then they had sports Popples, which I think only showed up in two different episodes. And I had the football one. His name was Touchdown because apparently my parents were trying to instill like a masculine aura by giving me a football, but having it turn into a little Harlequin-looking stuffed
I'm so
animal.
sick and tired of your parents' gender normative
But of yeah,
propaganda that
but
they
of
try
all
to
the
force
things,
down your
like,
throat.
well, it's a stuffed animal, so that's fine, I guess. But at least let's make it a football. Oh, hey, look, a popple. That'll work. Let's do that. The hell's a popple?
So I'm looking at this list here
Yeah.
of the names of the Popples,
Oh,
and
buddy.
this didn't dawn on me the first
How
time.
did it
But
not?
Bonnie and Billy's
Yeah.
Popples, the names all start with
I'll
P.
start with P. P for popple.
But I'm looking at the description, and I'm just running down this list and creating hilarious '80s like flash forward to today Popples. Like Party was the Popple who like every time she did something, and I'm assuming it's a
Yep.
she, confetti and like streamers and stuff popped out, and it says it. The description is large pink Popple who is literally a party animal. Put that in 2014.
Uh-huh.
Party Popple is like doing coke off a toilet tank at a party. Like this is going to be
Yeah,
hilarious.
she's
Yeah, I
basically
actually.
at the best, Party Popple is a woo girl. At best. At worst, yeah, she's just passed out in your hallway when you wake up in the morning, and you didn't even have a party. She's just there. That's that girl.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it just really takes me to like the problem that I have that like it really took me to task is that like I hate the word party for the exact reason that Baron mentioned is that like when you use party the the word party was ruined in the
by the
80s because it
Republicans.
just became bad yeah no it just became synonymous with drugs
Yeah.
like it just became synonymous with like coke and so like I have a really hard time when somebody's like yeah we should have a party and I'm just like
Look,
no
I'm gonna
no
say
you
thank
should
you.
not you should just stay away.
I'm gonna say thank you to Andrew WK for trying to turn the word party back around. Well done,
Yeah, I
sir.
mean, I think
Yeah.
you did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't enough. Like, I don't think enough people rallied behind him. But Andrew WK is amazing.
Yeah, well done
and
there.
it's an amazing song. But I just like
Hey, you know it's not
the thing
amazing?
that creeped me
Yeah, go ahead.
Popple.
Popples. But I think the thing. So, like, I owned two stuffed animals myself, Dave.
Oh, you had
Um,
Popples or just two stuffed animals?
I had just two stuffed
I was like,
animals.
that is
Very
dark.
sad.
That is really
No, I had
threadbare.
dark shit.
Jesus.
No, I had
What,
I
do you have a
two
fucking
Popples
Velveteen Rabbit?
He was missing an eye.
Oh,
Um,
lost in a fire.
so I had PC,
Okay.
uh, or commonly known as Pretty Cool.
Explain him for the
Um,
people, kind of what he looks like.
he's he's like the I guess the like the co-leader along with Party. Like they seem to be like the big.
Yeah, they're like
They
the
seem to be
leads.
present like in everything. But he just seems to be like he likes to sing and he likes to have fun. I mean, he's really just like a clone of Party.
Yeah,
he's
it's a little more
the
chill.
he's the male gender of Party. And the thing that he doesn't have, thank God,
Is
unlike
assault.
Party, is assault, and just the creepy laughing. Just every time Party Popple, I hate saying these names.
I know.
Every time Party Popple,
I love it.
every time she would like say anything, it was always followed by like a.
Yeah, this is like terrible
just, like,
giggle.
I almost punched my iPad like across the room. I was grinding my teeth, like just the entire time that she would laugh. And it's not any better on the live action.
No, it's much worse actually, because it's more of like
it's much creepier.
yeah, you can hear that kind of like the human quality behind it because they have kind of that live action motion to them.
Well, and not to mention the fact
Man.
that like Bonnie's laying there on the ground,
Yep.
stroking her stomach,
Yeah,
like just like, and she's just sitting there going.
it's really the whole experience
Okay,
is very
here-
surreal. It's not pleasant at all. You got to be like a little kid, like a Teletubbies kind of age to appreciate
I
any
was
of this.
just gonna say
Yeah.
I did not watch the live action, but I'm imagining the Teletubbies,
pretty
and
close.
it's just still going wrong for
So
me.
here's like a brief walkthrough of what happens in that live action series. So it's like I said, it's this very nuclear 80s suburban white family. So it's mom and dad Wagner, and then it's Bonnie, who's the older sister to Billy, and they're what, maybe like 10 and 8, something like that. Maybe not even that old, like 8 and 6.
I was gonna say like maybe 8 and 6.
8 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that. She basically like they're like having dinner, and she goes away from the dinner table, and she goes up.
Well, you should start by saying that like the grandfather is lecturing them
Yes,
on
I forgot about like
the
a Cold
merits
War
of a
grandpa.
hard day's work, and then he has an unbearable asbestos cough.
Yeah.
Like he just has like a raspy, like lung clearing, like just mucusy cough, and you're like, ugh.
And for no reason, like they don't like mention him.
Yeah.
Like, are you okay?
Like you think
Like,
these are things that like you watch and you're just like, oh my god, does that have significance? Like, are the Popples gonna cure Grandpa's lung cancer?
are the Popples the
And,
cancer that is living in
like,
his lungs?
Popples are
Popple cancer?
Popples are cancer. Popple are cancer. They're this week's cancer.
Yeah.
And so like the response, like Bonnie very like affectionately says like, are you all right, Grandpa? And like the grandmother's just like, it's like shaking out a vacuum cleaner.
She's
I'm
like this like kind of
pretty sure-
Bronxy.
Oh my god!
I'm pretty
It's like
sure-
shaking out a vacuum
pretty sure
cleaner.
Grandpa's lungs are nothing like a vacuum.
I fucking hope not. Anyway,
Like-
get that man to a hospital.
God, but the thing that killed me is that like there are a
Was
couple
it the same thing
situations-
that was going to kill the grandpa?
It's pretty
Yeah.
much.
It's just there are a couple things that happen, like awkward moments between like this nuclear family within like the first like 2 or 3 minutes, like 2 minutes of the beginning of this show, and it is unbelievably uncomfortable to
Yes,
watch.
very much so.
B, they keep showing reaction shots.
I didn't
of
even
the
notice that.
kids. And these are child actors,
Right.
and like, I mean, you got to give them a little bit of credit. I mean, like they're doing their thing. They were doing something.
Look, they're
fun.
doing this
I get it.
B-list Popples show.
Yeah,
They
like-
don't know.
like I've never done B-list stuff like this. So congrats to them
Good job, kids.
on
Yeah.
being further in their career than I was at 6 years old. So congrats. But like the shots that they keep showing to them are them like dead-faced looking like almost to the camera.
Right.
Like they're just staring and they're just like there's no there's no reaction on their face. It's just like, this is the thing that happened. I understand that this is the thing that happened.
Moving on.
I'm a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just like,
which is weird because it's not like green screen stuff. Like when we get to the Popples, like they're right there. Like they're puppets, they're marionettes, and they're like hand puppets. That's it. I mean, they're right there. So I don't know. These kids, like you say, congrats to the kids, to the adults involved with this show. How dare you? How dare you? That's what I say.
How dare
Just let that grandfather die at the dining room table. Awful. I don't think that actually happened. But yeah, eventually the Popples get involved with everything. We don't really understand why there was that kind of family dynamic. They don't do anything with it whatsoever.
Well, they come back down like, so Bonnie discovers the Popples.
Right. In the attic, right?
In the attic, which is their playroom.
Right.
They've obviously just moved into this house because there are like a ton of boxes that are upstairs. Or they've maybe recently moved in.
I was going to say, like,
they don't establish a timeline in terms of, like, what's going on.
They got time for that. You got 22 minutes for this shit. Timeline.
Yeah. Fill in all this history.
No, just throw Popples at you. Literally just throw balls of yarn. And that's it.
So, like, Bonnie goes upstairs to, like, write in her journal. And this is, like, the only time in the entire show that, like, this weird voiceover takes place. Did you catch this, Dave? Where like it happens twice, and it's in this one scene where she gets up there and she begins to write in her journal.
Right.
And the introduction that you have to Bonnie, like her name, like finding out who she is she writes in her journal and she goes, "My life as a little girl" by Bonnie Wagner.
Bonnie Wagner, yeah.
I threw a glass across the room. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then, as she's writing this, she's writing about a horse.
Of course.
That she wants or something like that, because all little girls
want ponies. Yeah,
so
not Popples.
She's getting into this serious equestrian line of thinking.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you hear Party Popples' creepy murderous laugh in the background. Like,
yeah. So if you hear that at that point, I don't care how old you are, get the fuck out of that room.
Yeah, get the fuck out of that
room.
Go
get an adult of any kind, even if it's raspy cough grandpa. I don't care. Like, exactly. Don't go explore. Oh, hey, what was that creepy laugh from the darkened corner of the attic? I wonder what that could be.
But she doesn't react to it until the second laugh.
Right.
And then she has a voiceover, and you think to yourself, like, oh my god, like, she's going to have this voiceover narration that's going to fill you in on these things. Nope. Those are the only, like, 3 sentences. My life as a little girl, something about a horse. Oh my god, what's that noise?
Yeah. All it did was key you into the facts that, A, this is a little girl. We gave you that one for the visually impaired. B, her name is Bonnie. Which I think her parents and brother and grandfather already called her earlier in the episode.
Yep.
There's no point to it whatsoever. Oh, and she likes horses, which never comes into play ever again.
Never comes into play ever again.
At this point, yeah, just throw the Popples in her face, because that's basically what they do.
Yep.
All these Popples just spring out of nowhere. We talked about some of their names before. There's obviously Party, who Sean hates. There's PC, pretty cool, who everybody hates.
There's Potato Chip, the soon-to-be diabetic Popple.
Yeah, that one was kind of my favorite, just because he/she didn't give a shit, just wanted to eat everything in sight. And I kind of like that. That's pretty sweet. Pancake.
That's a Popple for the American people.
Yeah, that's the American Popple.
American Popple.
American Popple. Yeah, there's Pancake. I'm trying to remember which ones actually popped up. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Which ones? I didn't even try to do that on purpose.
That was your fault, Biatch.
That's terrible.
Prize was on there because Prize was the one that like kept doing all the poems or something.
Well, she was the one that looks right at Bonnie and she was like, "What do you think of me, Bonnie?" And she's like, "Oh, I think you're the most beautiful Popple I've ever seen." Granted, she just saw Popples for the first time 12 seconds ago. But Prize is this kind of like Marilyn Monroe kind of thing. Also reminded me of do you remember the Gremlin? I think it's Gremlins 2.
The female Gremlin.
Yeah,
Gremlins
with
2.
the lipstick and the beauty mark and the the Marilyn Monroe kind of thing. Exactly like that. Which creeped me out to no end. No end. But yeah, so that's that. The long and short of it, I mean, the plot of this live action.
Putter was in there too.
Putter was in that. I'm surprised they didn't use Putter later on for a golf one. They missed that opportunity.
Sorry.
Yeah, shoot.
Prize was in there, it was Pretty Bit
Pretty bit.
that continued giving all of the like the rhyming
Yeah, it's like she
scheme
wants to be a
like
poet.
messages.
Give me a break. Yeah,
The
exactly.
worst.
I honestly I watched this twice and I tuned most of it out because it was so surreal and bizarre. Like I can't even recall it. I remember visually the stuff that was
Yeah,
going on.
I blocked it out too.
Man, but like yeah, exactly. The funny thing was they had like weird like time period things. Like I think Pretty Cool makes a Bruce Springsteen joke that I was just like, did that just happen? Like,
Yeah,
do
he does.
4-year-olds get Bruce
There's like
Springsteen jokes?
no, the kid. What was it?
Was it Billy?
They find out that PC sings,
Oh right.
and both Bonnie and Billy are just like, sing us a song. No, they ask, they're like, do you sing? And
Yeah,
he goes, is Bruce Springsteen from New Jersey?
Oh, so bad.
God.
At which point though,
Like-
is that where they cut to the music video?
So here's the
That might have been my favorite
Yes.
part. Or
Yes.
I had to
And
pinch
here-
myself to
here
be
was
like, am I dreaming? Like, is this real life?
here was the thing
Yeah.
that was killing me about this whole exchange. You're only maybe like between minutes like 5 and 10,
Right.
like when you really kind of get like introduced to the Popples. There are a lot of like establishing like B-roll shots that they added into this episode
Oh yeah.
that like absolutely did nothing. There are a lot of like these kids watching the parents like playing football, and the parents like very emphatically overreacting to them like watching football. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it was first and down, yay! And like they're like screaming in the background about like football, and it's like the shots of them like walking home from school. There's so much stuff, but like the thing. So that aside,
Yeah.
the thing that blew my mind
Yeah.
was that in a very short period of time, all right, they try to convey, I want to say 2 like lessons.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was 2 lessons.
Okay. I was like, because I don't
Dude,
remember.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because I watched this episode twice as
Yeah, yeah.
well, and I did not tune out either instance of it. I was hooked because I was like I said, this is either brilliant or this is like tragic. And like
It's definitely a tragedy. Yeah.
it's like whatever the union is between those 2 circles in my Venn diagram of my brain,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm going with. And like it they tried to explain 2 lessons to young children, which is where I believe Party Popple and Pretty Bit are having private conversations with each other, and then Pretty Bit tells them or explains to them that if they are sharing secrets, did I say
You
secrets?
definitely said
They're sharing
secrets, which I love much more.
What's happening?
We're
with you,
showing
dude?
secrets. Sure.
You see
They-
what happens when you watch it twice?
Listen, everybody,
Oh,
we're
boy.
showing secrets. Popples secrets.
So the 2 main lessons that they tell you are that you should not share secrets
Yeah.
at a party,
Yes.
because otherwise people will talk about you.
Yeah.
And then they delve into this minute and 30-second long like music video where PC is explaining Popple magic.
Right.
And the lesson behind that is that essentially, if you have imagination, when all the things you love are
Yep.
in one place and you have imagination, that's when the Popples arrive.
Yeah, that's Popple magic.
That is fucking terrifying.
That is Popple magic. They like just brush those questions away all the time. There's a point where like the parents eventually discover these Popples. We can talk about how they get to there. But
Oh, God.
and the mom is just like, "But what? Where do you come from?" And the kids go, "Relax, mom. It's magic." And everybody just laughs, and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Popples!" Like, oh my god. I don't think I blinked
if I
through
was a
this
parent,
entire
I'd
episode.
be like, no, seriously, where do these come from?
You probably have a disease. Let's.
So I want
My children have rape.
Yes.
I want to talk about one of the scenes with the parents.
Which one?
So we should tell everybody who has not watched this live action episode that
Yeah.
what happens is that the parents decide that so the kids discover the Popples
Right.
in their attic playroom.
Right.
The parents,
Which
the
is kind of
next
cluttered.
day-
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and then the
next day
Popples
the-
screw it up though too, because they're like loose in the attic and they just like wreak havoc, which is a recurring theme
Yeah.
throughout the animated series too. These little shits
Correct.
just destroy everything, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Sean was about to say, the dad, he goes to the attic and decides to do what?
So the mother and the father
Yep.
decide that they are going to go to the attic and they're going to clean it up
Right.
and surprise the kids with a new playroom.
Right. Which is nice.
As a result, they throw away a lot of the shit
Right.
that is in the attic.
Like these dusty old yarn balls.
Bonnie, yeah, exactly. Bonnie and Billy come home, and they discover that the Popples are no longer in the attic.
Nope.
That they have gotten rid of the box, and they don't know where it is. They have donated it to a Goodwill, which we will get into in a minute. And so they...
Sorry.
So the parent... So, like, it cuts to a scene where, like, the mom and the dad are, like, getting ready for bed.
Oh, yeah.
And
because that's what kids want to see.
The mom is in bed and, like, she's reading some, like, child psychology book about, like, how to handle, like, kids.
Like imaginary friends. Yeah.
Correct. When they make attachments with imaginary friends, like, how to deal with them. And, like, the dad gets in bed and there was, like, 2 seconds where I was just like, oh my god, this is about to get real sexy.
Oh, she about to get poppled.
Like, I was like, oh Jesus.
Oh god.
Like, oh god. Like, I was like, this is about to get, like, he gets into bed and he's like, oh god, I'm bushed. And I was like, yes. Like, get that. And it just, get it. And, like, I was like,
oh god.
It got real serious for like 2 seconds. They were just like, oh. And, it's real exhausting being a big meanie. And I was like, is it?
Is it?
Why
you big mean.
Why don't you tell me?
Yeah, the kids
Why
call
don't
him
you
a big
tell me
meanie
about
because
it?
they got rid of the Popples. Popples.
Big meanie is synonymous with real sexy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now we know what turned Sean on, so that's fun for everyone.
No, I just, like, there was like a moment where I was like, oh my
Sean
god.
The hits just keep on coming.
Like, this kids show is taking a turn for the worse. Like, it's taking a turn for the sexy.
Well,
if I would have watched this in, like,
Go ahead.
86, I would have been like, I don't understand what this is. 2014, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
all right.
I get it. All right. Little something
Like,
for the adult folk. All
There
right.
was also, like, there was a part of my brain that was like, yeah, those 2 kids that you have already, total dicks. Why don't you guys get rid of them and make a third?
Yeah, just go
I don't
make
know
new
why
kids.
my brain. Yeah.
Well, because that's logical, because these kids they definitely are dicks. They're like,
Dicks.
oh, it's your special day. We're going to do whatever you want today. We can go to a park. We can go to the zoo. We can do whatever you want. And they're like, I just want to cruise around, go to every Goodwill in, like, the Tri-County area and find my fucking Popples.
Which, I'm sorry, is amazing. Because at one point they cut to Bonnie and she's in the car with this with a notepad.
Yeah. Just crossing them
and
off.
She's got a big oversized, like, marker, and she's like, like when people try, like, very poorly in, like, in film and television, and they try to act like they're thinking, and so, like, they kind of, like, dot, like, the pen or whatever the writing instrument that's in their hand is.
Yeah.
They tap it on the page.
Yeah.
Nobody does that in real life.
Bonnie
asshole.
does.
All right. Bonnie does. All right. 8-year-old shitty child actress that she is. Like, she is tapped away, and then she's like, oh, visited that good. Cross it off the list. Like, just terrible to watch.
I'll tell you what, though. I love Billy's friend Ricky, who is never on the show. He just Billy references him, like, tangentially, because Ricky apparently knows everything there is to know about Goodwill. Everything there is to know.
Ricky
this little
rocks.
6-year-old that loves Goodwill, and he's like, Ricky says sometimes Goodwill mashes everything up in a giant trash eating machine, and he's like saying this like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't give a shit about the Popples. They're just gonna get mashed up. Doesn't matter. There's a throwaway.
So, like,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh god, no, that's like those are the stakes. Like, those are the stakes that they introduce via this non-existent character Ricky. All right, that Billy brings into existence. All right, is that what they do? This becomes a commercial for Goodwill.
Oh, yeah.
The second half of this show is a montage and a commercial for Goodwill.
Can we talk about the because eventually they end up at this Goodwill that is just on the verge of closing, and there is a withered, dried up
I love this.
old granny. She's the best.
I wrote so many notes about this. I was dying.
She never speaks. She just makes the weirdest faces to, like, kind of communicate what's going on.
Before we get to this, do you know what the line is that the dad said? Because they're like, 6 o'clock is evidently when every Goodwill everywhere closes.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
All right,
Yeah.
and they are in the car. The dad is driving, All right, they had this montage of them going to different Goodwills, of them eating lunch, and the dad gets like
Right.
left behind for like 2 seconds. They're eating hot dogs,
Right.
because everybody's like, "We got work to do. Get back in the car!" And like the dad's just like, "Oh, I just really wanted to fucking eat these hot dogs, you shitty kid." Like I wish he would have stood up and just given him all the middle fingers,
Yeah.
and then jingled the keys in front of them and been like, "I'm the adult."
Just fucking like,
I run
just
the show.
punt the keys into the river at that point. It's
Yeah,
like,
just thrown him in a drainage ditch and been like, "Where's your Popples now?" Like,
You know what? I have a second family in Santa Monica. I don't need this shit.
he just gets in the car and drives to Santa Monica.
just gone.
Fuck you all. I'm out.
It would have been
I
a
would
much
watch that
better
show.
ending. Much better ending.
Watch that show.
Instead-
But you know what? So it's like it is like, let's say it is 5:58.
Yeah.
And they're passing this final mysterious Goodwill that Bonnie did not have on her oversized clipboard that she to write down. Where the fuck did she get all the addresses? Like, the internet didn't
No,
exist
no
then. Did
Googles.
she just use a phone book? It
I
doesn't
guess.
matter. But do you know what the line was that the dad said of
No.
why they should abandon? He just goes, "That double trouble that we had at lunch is rearing its ugly head."
Oh, that's right. You know, I didn't get that the first time, and I was just like, wait, hold on. What did he just say?
Evidently, the hot dog that he ate is called a double
Yeah.
trouble, and it was a rearing
Dad's got the
its ugly
shits.
head.
Dad's got the shits, kids. Let's turn this thing around and get the fuck home.
I lost it.
He's like, because if we don't turn
that
this
was the
around
moment
now,
I
I'm about to
thought-
shit you out of Popple, and you can play with that on the ride home. 'Cause that's all you're going to get.
I paused the video and I was like, "Oh my god, this is too much."
It's good stuff. If you haven't watched this, definitely do. But
I need to drop the Popples off at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
drop a Popples. I want to make sure we get to the cartoon itself too, because I want to give Baron a chance to talk about how much he hates this show. So let's wrap up this live action. So they get to the
I've been talking about it the whole time.
yeah.
Oh, so so you were saying about the old woman. So tell me about the old
Oh
woman.
my god, I love the old lady. So there's one old lady that is minding this Goodwill, and she is like slowly creeping along and closing up the store. Bonnie,
Slowly creeping along to death.
yeah, slowly creeping towards death. She actually is closing the store early so she can just go die a quiet, painless death in the
box
back of the store.
in the back.
Yeah, just suffocated underneath Popples. Bonnie at this point just runs basically through traffic out of the car to get to the Goodwill, smashes her tiny shitty face into the glass door of the Goodwill and tries to like break through and throws a fucking tantrum when this poor old grandma won't open it up. And grandma's just like, she doesn't say a word, she's just like, nope, we're closed. She just kind of shrugs, meh, whatever. Basically, long story short, she eventually opens it up. The kids come in, they find these idiot Popples. They're all just hopping around in the box. They all pop out. The parents don't really seem to care all that much. Grandma doesn't have a heart attack, so she's fine, I guess. And then they just start having conversations with them, like, "Oh, where do you come from? What do they eat?" This was.
Oh no, that was my favorite.
What do they
line of
eat?
the whole. It was the worst line. Do you want to set it up?
Yeah, guys, if we had a laugh track on here, I would definitely be playing it in a second. So I'll be the mom,
Okay,
and
all
you
right,
can
all
be
right.
Bonnie. I think that's how it went, right? I think it was mom and Bonnie.
No. It was the mom straight. It was the mom just straight. She goes, "What do they eat?"
Yeah.
And then the dad.
That was the dad.
Goes, Dad goes, "I don't know." And then the mother goes,
Popple chow, and then everybody laughs because that's the funny line. Fuck.
"Oh my
But that's
God,
honestly I think it's a good
Popple
segue into the cartoon because the cartoon never makes any kind of like actually witty remarks, observations, puns that make any sense. They throw the word popple in all over the place. They just add it in. Never like sensibly, I guess would be a good way to say it. It never makes
Well,
any sense. They
can
don't do anything like slightly intelligent with it. They just
Well,
muddle through it.
I want to address something really quick. Is that anytime you have a television show where in the 22-minute episode you have to recycle the same thing twice,
Yeah.
being the Popple Magic song
You
that
got
they
it.
sing for 90 seconds.
It's an encore.
That's how they close is with an encore of the song Popple Magic.
I like to
All
think
right?
that
But
grandma.
the deeper. Oh, go ahead.
I like to think that grandma, the two parents, the kids, and the Popples are forever trapped in that Goodwill, because Popple
hope
magic
so.
has trapped them in a hell dimension where everything just comes to life and they can never escape. And Popples just feed off your souls
No,
for
see, the
eternity.
twist is the Popple dimension is reality.
What?
Blew my mind.
My mind.
Is blown.
Oh my god. It's like
In
I
an
think
interesting point of trivia, Popples was actually written by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, what a twist!
makes sense.
Oh boy.
I mean, given the fact that he worked on some of the worst rated movies and some of the best rated movies.
Yeah,
that are in existence.
for another time until he makes a Popples
Yeah.
movie, because I could talk about him for a long time. But yeah, let's.
Well,
do you
I
have
mean,
anything
let's-
from the
let's be
live
honest,
action
let's
still?
be honest.
Yeah,
He ruined Avatar. The
absolutely
Last
did, and I would like to talk about that
So-
someday when we talk about that series. That's going to be a big
Yes,
episode though. So
I love that episode. Love that
yeah,
series.
he's the worst though. But another series that we love to hate, Dem Popples.
Popples.
God, so
Yeah, go ahead,
You know,
Baron.
it-
give us an intro to what we
Yeah,
watched.
what Baron? What episodes did you watch?
Yeah.
I watched the pilot and then the piece of shit that came right after that.
So Panic at the Library.
Right. So here's the things that. All right. So here's the thing, and there's just a long bulleted list under this.
Yeah.
Like these Popples, like they're little assholes.
Yep. Right out of the
Like,
gate, man.
All they do is like make a mess. So in the first, like, I don't know, 5 seconds of the pilot, or the one where the Panic at the Library, or wherever, Bonnie's looking for her math book.
Yeah, perfect setup.
And,
there's the
right.
issue right there. Good job, writers.
And I was like, okay, here goes this, we're episode. I'm sure we're going to be on wacky adventures and all this shit.
Yeah.
So
Wacky math
Bonnie-
adventures. Yeah.
Bonnie's like kind of, flipping books around in a room and like sort of making a mess. So then the Popples are like, is it this book? Is it this book? And instead of like just lifting the book up, showing it, and putting it back down,
Right.
they throw it across the room. And then they stop asking, is it this book?
Yeah.
And just start emptying out bookshelves.
But it gets worse than that because they go away from book. Now, granted, you gotta keep this in mind. There are six of these creatures that are like maybe the size of a rabbit, made out of yarn, bouncing all around the place, throwing books all over the room, just popping out of everywhere. She's in the middle of this maelstrom of just books and yarn balls. And they're just like, is this a book? Is this a book? And they're just grabbing shit. They're just grabbing like statues and like fucking lamps and just
Yeah,
mirrors.
I was going to say, I think they grabbed a lamp.
Yeah, and they're just like, and they get to the point where it's kind of funny for a second, and then it just becomes deranged because they go on and on and on, and they're just like, is this the book? Is this it? Is this the book? And it's just,
Like,
it's really disturbing.
borderlines on like it gets to the point where you're just like, oh, they're not helping her anymore.
No,
They're
they
just-
were never helping her.
And
They're
it-
just
and
little
it happens
assholes, like
all
Matt
the
said.
time.
They're just little assholes. And she's like, for fuck's sake, can you just stop poppling around for 2 fucking seconds?
The Popples are like the friend that punches you in the dick because he thinks it's funny to see you double over in pain.
And he laughs every
Like,
time. It never gets old to
exactly.
him. Never gets old.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah,
what these little
exactly.
shits are. They're the worst.
Yeah. They're like little ball tapping sacks of shit.
Yeah.
Like they're awful.
That was the original name of Popples.
Yeah.
Ball tapping sacks of shit. Didn't work with the censors. But yeah, they're terrible. And guess what?
Yeah, maybe something that sells Popples.
Yeah.
Let's just call them Popples.
Oh, how about Popples? Guess what, though? This leap of logic made 0 sense to me. Maybe I missed something. But why? Okay, she can't find her math book. She's got a big test coming up. The Popples are little shitheads. They're not helping her at all. Why does she go to the library to find her book? Or is she just going for a copy of that book?
Because the Popples. Somebody says like, I think it's the Popples say like,
Oh,
why
good.
don't you go to the library and get it?
Yeah,
Like,
let's
it was
listen
like
to
the
Popple
one
logic.
It was the one dumb helpful thing that they said. It was
Helpful?
like,
They don't know
isn't
the
there
difference
gonna-
between a sock, a book, a lamp,
Dude.
a wrench.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
You are attacking the situation with logic.
Yeah, I
all
know,
right?
I
And
know.
and the problem is that you're not attacking it with Popple magic.
Listen, Popple magic is a synonym for just really high on all sorts of drugs because these
I'm-
things are super
No,
high all the time.
You're right. The song that they sing at the
Oh
end
my God.
of the live action just goes Popple magic, pop the day away.
Yeah, buddy. Pop them pills, kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you remember
Pop them
from our I believe Brave Star episode, do all the drugs, kids.
Dude. Oh, dang.
That'll help you understand Popples. Because these things are just tripping balls the entire time. They're nuts. They're just like so jacked up on energy. They just pop and bounce around all the time. We didn't even talk about this. They pull everything out of their pouches. So we mentioned hammer space earlier in the episode, which is just like a general term for the cartoon logic where you can Bugs Bunny can pull an anvil out of an empty sack.
Where anything can materialize.
Anything. Pull hammers at it, you can pull dynamite.
Physics and logic don't exist.
No. And that's what the Popples are all about, but to the extreme. Even in the intro to this show, the one creepily pulls a 20-foot ladder out of her back that just grows out of her back like some sort of monstrous tumor. It's terrifying. Everything about these things are terrifying. So yeah.
In the second episode of the animated series, Cooking Up a Storm, it becomes the whole hammer space logic becomes glaringly apparent when they attempt to make Bonnie and Billy breakfast.
Oh boy!
And they are they're pulling a juicer out of their Popple pouch.
It's hey, be a little more efficient. Just pull me a fucking carton of orange juice, you little dick.
Yeah, why don't you just pull a breakfast sandwich out of your pouch?
Yeah. Just grab a bag of McDonald's. It's all ready to go.
Don't mess around with making, because they have such a difficult time with making orange juice.
Well, sure.
In the second episode, I'm just pull orange juice. You are pulling a trampoline out of your Popple pouch. Just pull a dog or some other something.
That dog just came out of hammer space.
To provide companionship. That dog is a part of our hammer space.
Good job, dog.
Anytime we want.
So let's go back to the library for a second, because Matt, I'm assuming in an episode called Panic at the Library, things are probably real chill and go swimmingly once I get to the library. Is that correct?
Yeah, it went totally fine.
Yeah,
Bonnie was there for 2, maybe 3 minutes. Right. Just went to the card catalog.
Should we explain what a card catalog is for the children not born in the 80s?
The internet printed out and filed by a meaningless number system.
By Mr. Dewey.
Yeah, that dick.
Thanks, Dewey.
So she goes over to the card catalog, pulls open the first drawer, and a Popple is already in there.
Yeah, Popples beat her to it. How did they beat her there? With a fucking roller skate. A roller skate carting a little cart behind it. They drove a roller skate.
When she's flipping through what she thinks are card catalog, are cards in the card catalog, what is she flipping?
She's flipping them cards.
The tongue.
Oh, that's right. She's flipping that Popple tongue. Which is not a euphemism. She's literally flipping Popple tongue.
Yeah, that was straight disgusting.
It was really gross. She was oh, this doesn't feel weird at all. I guess this will be a thing that we do.
You know, but because it was potato chip that was in the
in the card catalog drawer.
In the card catalog, I was just yeah, get it.
Oh yeah, flipping that Popple tongue.
Get it all.
Oh,
get it all.
Sean,
Jesus. Oh God.
So here is the second instance of these things being little assholes, because they just completely destroy the card catalog. They just flip shit
and not
everywhere.
even the card catalog. They go on to the entire library and level that shit.
Well, that's the thing. They start small with the card catalog, and then they actually kind of they fix it. So they show.
That's how it starts, kids.
Yeah, they show.
Start messing up the card catalog.
That's how it starts.
Messing with the card catalog. Next thing you know, you're knocking over books, and then you're knocking over liquor stores.
Yeah, exactly. That's the progression. That's how it works. But yeah, they also show that we can be a bunch of dicks and just mess stuff up because we've got magic powers and we can just snap our fingers. Everything goes back into order. But you're leaving the kid there in the lurch, because the kid now has to explain why this whole thing is messed up. The librarian yells at her.
Well, the amazing thing is that so they knocked over all the stacks of library books.
Because once you're in a library and you're in a cartoon, you need to knock them over like dominoes. You just have to.
It has to happen.
Has to.
It is cartoon law.
Yeah.
Why else would they be set up that
exactly.
way?
There's no other reason.
I don't get it. So how did they rectify the situation?
They just reverse dominoed them. Oh my God! How did they pulled a lever, like a seesaw?
They used
right?
a tire jack.
It was a tire jack. I thought it was like a seesaw or something.
They pulled a tire jack out of hammer space. I love the idea of hammer space.
No, hammer space is great. Popples are terrible.
It's probably one of the coolest. Coolest. It's probably one of the coolest things.
You are on point today.
I am so good, guys.
You're the coolest.
So excited. So I thought hammer space was really cool that they could just pull anything that they thought could serve or meet their needs at any point in time.
You know what would have been
and
real good?
It was nuts.
You know what would have been
Nuts.
great to pull out of Hammerspace? A fucking math book. 30 seconds into this shit. Give me my
Could
damn
have
math
fixed that.
book. Oh, here it is. All
Here's the
set.
thing. Every Popple episode could have been solved
Yeah.
within 30 seconds of pulling something relevant and necessary out of Hammerspace.
These things.
But did the Popples do that?
Oh, hell no.
Absolutely
No, no, no.
No. Every time they fucked with the kids and they were just like, yeah, we're going to just destroy your house.
Yeah.
In the second episode, Cooking Up a Storm, they set off the fucking fire alarms because they're burning shit in the kitchen.
They do not
Also,
help whatsoever. At best, they at the end of the show, at best, they get back to where they started. It is like a neutral
Yes.
point. They're just agents of chaos that are
It
wreaking
is
havoc in our
one
world.
step forward, 2 steps back.
They're terrible.
Every fucking time you deal with Popples.
Terrible. Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Did you guys watch any other episodes? This was Panic at the Library. You heard a little bit of Cooking Up a Storm. Did you guys watch any other ones? I watched one extra one because I wanted to see these sports Popples in action.
No, I've had to stop.
Yeah, Baron had a tough time with this one. Tough time.
Mullers, Bicuspids, and Popples.
Tell us a little bit about that one. Give us a.
It was really just terrible.
Really?
I had a really hard time watching it. I mean, Billy goes to the dentist, and it's just, it's one of those things where it's just like you think in every instance that the Popples, because they are. Correct me if I'm wrong with
Yeah.
this. They are like imagination personified.
Basically, it's what they're supposed to be. Yeah. So
That-
these
I mean,
kids have
correct me,
really
like,
twisted
they're-
imaginations, apparently.
Yeah, their imagination personified as like these dopey teddy bear
Gremlins.
marsupials.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I like
basically.
teddy bear marsupial.
You like teddy bear marsupials. So koalas, basically.
Yeah, koala.
They're basically koalas. They're
They
asshole
really
koalas. Yeah.
They're dick koalas. And so these dick koalas just like in every instance where you think it would be so refreshing. Like, can you imagine? I'm sorry. I keep thinking to myself, like,
Yeah.
as a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, whatever my 7 or 8-year-old problems were at that time, to be able to have like a Deus Ex Machina
Yeah.
to like get me out of that crap, I would have been so excited
Yeah.
to utilize and stretch my imagination to accommodate and adapt to that situation. And in every instance that poor Bonnie and Billy do this,
Right.
they get effed in the A by Popples. Like, it
Be careful what you wish
so-
for, kids, because these things are terrible.
Oh, and they are Rule 34 too. So
I was
So
saving that. I was saving it because I wanted to like.
Oh God.
They are.
Yeah.
We're
Wait,
now.
the
There is a-
Popples are?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Popples are definitely Rule 34.
Definitely Rule
It is-
34.
Wait, but Bonnie and Billy are?
Oh God, I hope not.
No,
I didn't
no,
go
I
that
hope
far.
not.
Jesus,
Oh, God,
I don't
was
want to be
gonna say,
arrested.
What are you looking at?
No, the
Jesus.
Popples. There's one with I think
No, there's-
Party where she's just like pop it in me, and I'm like, all right, we're done. We're
I
done.
saw the same one.
Jesus.
There was a lot of pop euphemisms.
Oh yeah, which is much more clever than the writing of the show, surprisingly enough. Well, we're gonna steer away from Rule 34, but it's out there, kids. If you're into that, look. Here's the thing. This could have been what like My Little Pony is now. This could have taken
Yeah.
on a bronies kind of fan following or something. I'm
Like
surprised
cult
it didn't.
following.
Yeah, it could have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still hanging around, but it's not nearly as strong as like the bronies or the My Little Pony kind of thing, which I will never understand. But I mean, it's a thing that
I
exists.
won't understand either.
No.
But I mean, like, this is still like a relevant thing. Like, you can still go to a Hot Topics and like
Yeah.
find Popples crap.
You can dress as a popple
Like,
if you
yeah,
want.
why not?
Yeah, so wear
Just
some
be
yarn
a koala
balls.
dick.
Koala dick. I do have to talk about sports popples real quick. I watched
Oh, get into it.
this episode titled, ready? This is good.
Mm.
Decathopopulon Popples. You get
hate
that?
you.
You guys got that? That good stuff there?
Yeah.
Decathopopulon? It has
Decappa-
Decapopples.
Decapitate.
I wish. It is not that. It is the sports popples who get together and decide they want to have a decathlon. But like anything else that the popples do, it's got no rhyme or reason. They cheat at everything they do, and it makes zero sense. There are no kids in this one either. They're just these creep-ass popples, these imaginary characters, out in the middle of like a baseball diamond, just doing their own thing. Nobody seems to drive by. Nobody notices these little furry yarn ball, Chucky doll characters running around playing made-up sports games. Nobody notices. They're just out doing their own thing. So whatever. There's no lesson to be learned. They don't talk about teamwork. They don't talk about good sportsmanship. They don't talk about fair play. They don't talk about following the rules. They don't talk about what happens when you get hurt. Nothing. They're just little coked up idiots running around, throwing themselves all around this park, doing just weird made up games. So the other thing that's like equally offensive to how dumb this was, their accents. So this is the first time they tried to like actually give regional dialects or national dialects to some of these characters. So like Custer, who's the pool playing Popple, because that's what you want. You want a pool playing Popple for the kids, because all the kids play pool.
Was he from like Color? Was he Tom Cruise in Color of Money?
I don't know, but he was very Brooklyn. I don't know what Tom Cruise was in that, but he was very like Brooklyn. So he was making all these jokes. He's like, oh, it looks like I'm behind the 8 ball here. Just like making these quips that mean nothing. Like they weren't even remotely funny in the context of what was going on. Just terrible. There's a British one, I think just called like Kicker or something. I don't even remember what the hell his name is.
Oh, Big Kick.
Big Kick. But he's like the British one. There's a ball player named Pitcher. He's dumb because he's from the South. So he's got a Southern accent and he doesn't understand anything.
Oh, perfect.
Because he's dumb. The worst one, the absolute worst one, is the basketball player.
Yep.
Oh boy.
I'm looking at a picture of him right now.
Ooh, and even the picture isn't like super terrible, but when he's like, every time he talks, he has to stop and scat diddly bop boom wow. Like every time. Every single time. He's got a scat. And he's basically like a Harlem Globetrotter, but just terrible at everything. And it's awful. Everyone's all. Even Touchdown, their leader, he is the biggest cheater because he wants to make sure that he wins to keep the Popples in line and let the rest of them know that he's the dominant Popple in this universe. So it's terrible, kids. There is nothing redeeming about this show, and I don't apologize because we needed a change of pace, but I am very disappointed in how bad this was. No. Very bad.
So I'm gonna assume, Dave, that your recommendation is a big thumbs down.
I'm gonna say, yeah, don't watch this. If you're interested in like the actual toys themselves, they're kind of cool. I actually like the idea of the toy that like would fold up into like a plush football and then fold out into a stuffed animal. I thought that was kind of cool as a little kid. That's fine. The cartoon show is just a complete waste of brain space. Like it's really not even worth your time. Now that being said, if you want to buy Popples Volume 1 on DVD, be sure to head over to SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Yeah. What about you guys? I shouldn't even ask.
Baron, how did you feel about Popples?
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just an absolutely aggressive thumbs down.
Aggressive.
I mean, this is like, this is thumbs down, like jamming it through my coffee table and breaking that shit off. Like,
all right.
So you are recommending it then?
Yeah, you know what? If you're in a self-immolation, just go ahead and
just light it up.
Get it.
Watch a couple episodes and then light yourself on fire.
You know what's weird? Popples never made headlines for being extremely flammable. I'm wondering if they were, because they were probably just made with like flammable Chinese materials. So I'm assuming.
Why's it got to be Chinese?
Because it was the '80s, obviously.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Everything in the
Taiwanese
80s was made in China and made of fucking flammable material. But here's what I think.
Yeah. Especially Tibetan monks.
Oh boy, yikes! ISIS and self-immolating Tibetan monks. You, sir, are 2 for 2. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh no, Baron! I feel like I should just bow out of this. I mean, Baron is just unbelievably relevant in terms of current events.
Yeah, I'm on fire.
Oh my god!
And one.
So bad.
And one.
So good.
I wonder if the poor material that made Popples is what caused the grandfather's asbestos cough.
Yeah, he had the black lung.
And it comes full circle.
Yep, he had Popple lung.
Full circle, everybody.
Popple lung. That's what he got.
Huffle lung.
Popple lung.
Huffalump.
Oy. So, Sean, you not recommending this?
I'm actually going to say...
What?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to say do not watch the cartoon.
There you go.
But I am going to say watch the live action.
That's fair.
It's
got a Henson vibe to it, not nearly that quality, but it's got a Henson vibe to it. If you like that,
it's creepy,
yeah.
No doubt. I mean, there are a lot of moments where you're just gonna be like, ugh, like, am I really watching this? And I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I feel like there's a really solid part of like. I feel like if you were to like try to encapsulate like 1986, the Popples live action does a pretty good job of like kind of compiling some of
Yeah,
those
very just like fake.
specific
Yeah,
components
fake family
from
life,
like mid
consumerism.
80s,
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
like, and I like goodwill,
Yeah.
like, you know, learning a lesson, PSAs,
Music videos.
like music videos.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, exactly.
Football.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
sort of. I mean, because like, you know, the 80s was sort of like the whole. Well, I mean, I want to say like the 70s. I really want to say like the 70s with like the Jim Henson Workshop,
Right.
kind of coming into prominence, which had actually been around longer. But you know, it was one of those things that like, I feel like the Popples drew a lot of inspiration, as we mentioned, from Jim Henson and sort of this live action
Yeah.
episode that they had, and there were some fun aspects of it, and there was some just really noticeable, like just bad, like teeth grinding dialogue.
That's worth watching, like
and
revisiting, because it's fun.
Yeah, and it's 22 minutes of your
Yeah,
life.
come on.
Like you can do what Baron kind of tried to do, which was and Dave for the most part is just kind of like try to play it in the background and like phase it out. Or you can be like me and you can watch
Just
this
dive
and
in.
like, oh my god, like,
Tim,
you
just
could be
go
like,
full
oh my
frame on that.
Yeah, I went full frame on it. I was so excited. Like it was one of those things where I was just like, this has a lot of qualities that I think make a really interesting franchise in terms of like whether you're marketing like a
God, that's
television
generous.
show. Yeah, well,
I
I
mean,
just-
it's not like they
it was just-
handled it well, but they had the potential there to do something
mean,
with it.
yeah,
Like I said, it could have been like a
absolutely,
My
and
Little
I-
Pony or anything else. But it's.
And I think that's.
yeah.
I think it's absolutely. I think, Dave, I think you're 100% correct. Like, I think there are a lot of things that could have happened in this, and I think they wanted to get there, and it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, like, hey, Popples are still around today. Like,
Yeah,
you can
somehow.
still buy Popples. Like, you can still buy Popples and like, you know, shirts. Like, people are still selling this stuff on eBay. Like, it's still around. It's still prominent and like.
Just needs a
some
little bit
aspect-
it just needs like a little spark to get going again.
It just, you know what it needs?
Uh,
it needs a Michael Bay reboot.
Oh my god.
It needs.
Oh, I thought you
Popples
were gonna
blowing
say
up.
Popple Magic.
It needs Popple Magic. By that we mean
Popple
ecstasy.
Magic is pretty much Michael Bay and ecstasy combined.
Yeah.
And so I really think that there were a lot of really interesting aspects of the live action. I will say the following 43 episodes
Oh, boy.
of the cartoon are garbage. Like,
Hot garbage.
Shame. It's a hot, trashy mess. Like, shame on you, Deke, for doing this. Like, what you could have saved and better spent your money
Yeah.
elsewhere. Like, the fact that you tried to make regional dialect and like tried to make like just bad colloquialisms, like it's so fucking hard to listen to and just watch. And I think the thing that it really comes down to that's the most difficult is Party Popple's laugh.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. We'll see if we can get a
And Party-
recording up on the site that you can just play over and over and over again. Drive yourself
Party
insane.
Popple is in like, I want to say out of the 44 episodes, I remember reading something that she's in like 43
Yeah, she's
of
the
44.
most recurring character, and
She
second
is
to none, with
awful.
only PC, who's the other lead, in 40, I think.
Terrible.
She's terrible. So, in summation, Sean recommends the live action Popples and Ecstasy. He does not recommend
I do not.
Parties
and
or Michael Bay.
Listen, in no instance do I recommend ecstasy. It destroys your
Nope.
spinal cord.
Nope,
fluid.
we got it
Do
on
not,
recording.
Do not roll on
Sean
Molly at
says
any point
do
in
all
time.
the drugs. So,
No, do not do Molly.
hey, guess what rhymes with drugs? Plugs. Let's do some plugs.
Yeah, that was so good.
Sean, what do you have coming up for the folks?
Oh my god. End of this month, if you are DC, Maryland, Virginia, or even another neighboring state like Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
or
Delaware.
whatever, Delaware.
the Jersey.
Whoa. I'm a producer for a comedy festival that is going to happen in DC at the end of the month. We are doing the second iteration or second annual District Improv Festival.
Yep.
And that is going to be going on from September 24th until September 27th. It is going to be 4 days of awesome comedy. There are 30 troops. I think 10 of them are from the DC area, and 20 of them are from around the country. Our headlining act that we have are Chicago's TJ and Dave. They are unbelievably fantastic and wonderful. If you've had a chance to see them in New York at the Bleecker Street Theater, they're just dynamite.
I think you
Tickets
guys.
are selling out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you guys sell out the for the headliner shows? Are you adding more?
I believe we just added some more,
Cool.
and I think that they sold out almost right away. But I want to say that the tickets that we have for the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th earlier shows before TJ and Dave
Right.
have not sold out.
Nice.
So there is a lot of amazing improv comedy to see, ranging anywhere from just traditional long form to musical long form. It should be a great time. Plus, we have a lot of workshops
Nice.
for anybody who's interested in getting into improv and
Very
taking a workshop and seeing what improv is all about. So you can find out more on districtimprov.org. And we hope to see you in, oh man, that's like a week away.
Yeah, it's not far
so
away, but
close. So close. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited about it.
that's cool. Yeah, we have all the information up on our site. We'll have it up with this show as well. Baron, anything coming up for you you'd like to share with the listeners out there?
Yes, and
What you got?
you see what I did there,
I
Sean?
do.
Oh my
Baron's
god,
been
that
taking
was so
workshops.
good. You
Yeah.
nailed that, dude. Look at you.
Ah,
That was
anyway.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything, but
just wanted to get that in there.
no, but I did want to plug this. So
What you got?
I fell into an hour and a half long session of Reddit, and I found this. Don't know if you mentioned this while I was out. The last Saturday morning cartoon block is going to be airing next Saturday.
Wait, what do you mean?
What? Yeah. So basically, I believe it's CBS. Like, what's the one with like Yu-Gi-Oh and like Dragon Ball Z
Yeah, that's
and all that?
the CW's action
Yeah.
block in the morning. But that's
That's
Sunday
going-
mornings. That's Sunday mornings. Maybe CBS
Well-
or something has it on Saturday.
Yeah, at any rate, the like Saturday morning cartoons portion of that is ending September 27th,
What?
and they are replacing it with live action stuff October 4th.
Oh, that's terrible. Are you talking live action stuff like Power Rangers kind of stuff, or like?
You know, I don't know because I didn't read any of the thread, but I'm just going to tell you that Saturday morning cartoons are over.
Fuck.
So downvote that.
Well, we will continue to carry the torch for Saturday morning cartoons everywhere. This is why we really started this podcast, to be honest with you. Like, we miss a lot of these old shows that you could see on Saturday mornings where they would just like rotate through these bizarre shows year after year after year. There was always something. Now, you know, these days, it's got to really turn a profit and be marketable across, like, you know, the four quadrants, and they got to be able to mass market it throughout all these different memorabilia. And they just don't give people the chance anymore, you know?
Man, I mean, you thought that they had to sell toys in the 80s with selling Popples.
I know. It was almost like a bonus back then, though. They were just like, cartoons
Yeah.
and toys, whatever. Now it's like you have
Well, I
to
mean,
do that. It's got to be
I
built
feel-
into your foundation. Yeah.
I mean, was it something maybe in like the 80s where you could take a little bit more of a financial risk? And I mean, because like
Oh,
this
God, yeah.
terrible show went 44 episodes.
Well, that was the thing. I think they
the
front-loaded a lot of stuff. Like, they just. Well, it'll be interesting someday to talk to somebody who was, like, in the producers guild or whatever at the time to know how these things got made, because it looks like they were all front-loaded. They were ordered, they were paid for ahead of time, and then they just ran through, and if they were successful, they continued. If not, they just chopped them, and then, oh well, that was $1 spent. Now, it's completely the opposite. It's almost like a episode as you go. You know, like, every year at Comic-Con or at the TV Critics Associations, things like that, it's announced or not announced whether or not there's going to be a renewal of a given cartoon series. And it's literally like every year. It's just like a live-action TV series that doesn't know if they're going to be renewed at the end of the season. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. And it's, for some reason, more expensive than it ever was before. So, I don't know. Not in the heyday, unfortunately.
I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where nowadays, like, you have to have like an unbelievable subscriber base ahead
Yeah,
of time
exactly.
before
Yeah,
you
like,
make the cartoon.
Profit must be guaranteed
Yeah.
before it goes on air.
Well, listen, guys, this is why they adapt everything, because it's already got a built-in fan base. And this is why they look at things and say, like, okay, which can we adapt and which will hopefully be successful. And I don't know how we got off into this tangent of all things by talking about Popples, but here it is. We will save this discussion for
Popples
another day,
did do
though.
one good thing.
What'd they
It
do?
inspired this conversation.
Yeah, and it's a great conversation that we need to have with some more people who are, like, in the know. I'd like to have an actual dialogue about that someday. But
Yeah.
Until that day, this has been Saturday Morning Cartoons. You can find us at, obviously, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. And remember, that's morning with a U, because we're real sad that these cartoons are going away. Like Matt said, no more Saturday Morning Cartoons. Real sad. You can find us on Twitter
Boo.
at MorningTunes. Again, that's morning with a U. Sean, where can we find you on Twitter and Instagram?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sean Paul Ellis.
And Matt, where can folks find you?
On the
Yeah.
Twitter at Bag of Sandwiches.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yes!
I am following you now, and I'm very happy and delighted.
So excited.
Bag of sandwiches. You can follow me at Dr. Claw MD. Oh, let's see. The Tumblr page is sure to be full of raucous images of Popples, getting up to all kinds of shenanigans.
You'll be posting your nightmares.
Oh boy, Sean will be posting your nightmares over at SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. And as always, send us your hate mail, your fanfic, not your Rule 34s, maybe your Rule 34s.
Yes,
SaturdayMorningCartoons at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to give you a shout out. And let us know how you feel about the passing of the final Saturday morning cartoon block. It's a sad day. But until next time, oh my god, almost forgot. It's Sean's pick next week. What are we watching, buddy?
Oh my god. So we had a very masculine episode, and then we had a very childlike, whimsical episode with Popples. I'm going to inject some not necessary masculinity.
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
I'm gonna go for a palate cleanser with this one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go because I was talking with Matt about this a lot today.
Yeah.
And reading a lot about the history of this show.
Yeah.
And Dave, you were contributing a lot about the history
Oh, I
of
think
this
I know where
show.
this is going.
You know where this is.
Oh,
we
buddy.
are going to do Thundar the Barbarian.
Oh, so excited. You guys don't
Very
even know.
excited.
I mean, you might know, but I didn't know, and now I know.
I didn't know about this. This came out very early 80s.
Yeah.
This will be the oldest cartoon that we've done to date.
Really?
I believe, yes.
Yeah, you're probably right. We've got older ones on the list, like some of the classic Hanna-Barbera type stuff, but yeah, this is as far back as we've gone so far.
This is another Ruby Spears. So,
Oh, boy.
yeah, I know. But it doesn't follow the same. I mean, like, Popples followed the same logic of being like mid 80s, but it did like 40 plus episodes. Like, this follows more along the lines of like Pirates of Dark Water, where it was like 2 seasons, 24 episodes. That was it.
Yikes.
So,
Well,
it'll be very
And
interesting.
thousands of unanswered questions.
most
thousands
likely.
of unanswered
Well, next week when you guys tune in, we'll be sure to do our best. Until then, this has been Saturday Morning Cartoons. Thanks for listening.
Marsupials,
Sure.
but they can go into their own pouch, which is this just not right.
No.
I mean, but anyway, yeah, exactly. It's kind of that pull your lip of your head and
Right.
swallow kind of visualization. But so they were created by those characters from Cleveland.
Hell
which
of a
is
start there. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a subsidiary of American Greetings, and
Right.
anything generated by a card company needs to be stopped immediately. But they're kind of like these bright 80s colored little, kind of half Care Bear, half kangaroo.
Sure. Yeah, maybe
I
koala
want
or
to
something.
pause, Matt, for like 2 seconds because
Yeah.
you had like you yourself, Matt, had like a pause. You're like, there are these brightly colored little, and I wanted you to say little shits,
Brightly colored little shits.
little gremlin-looking shits.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to tear this from A to Z in a minute. Want it to be professional for the history, though. Really name names. And speaking of names, Susan Trentel,
Oh,
who
Susan.
worked for TCFC,
Mhm.
who created the first prototypes on Strawberry Shortcake and Care Bears, 2 of the worst shows ever made, and was the plush
Strong
designer
statement. Bold statement from
who
Matt Barron.
basically created the Popple. Supposedly, the idea came up from rolling socks.
What a bolt of inspiration from the blue. Rolling your socks together.
So let me see.
I'm
Matt,
doing laundry. Wait a minute, I've got an idea for a show.
Exactly.
That's
So correct
infinitely
me if I'm wrong.
less entertaining than laundry. Yeah,
Dirty Laundry inspired this fucking show.
nailed it. Hello and welcome welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from your multicolored nightmares, I'll be your host, Dave Strumbor. Joining me, as always, DC area improv artist and comedian Sean Popple Ellis. How are you today, buddy?
David, I'm doing... How are you?
Listeners, I don't know if you know this. Sean recently legally changed his middle name to that popping sound. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So he is now Sean Ellis. Okay, I was waiting for you to do it. There it is.
There it is.
Also joining us today, straight from Hammerspace, it's the Bay Area's Matt Barron. How are you today, sir?
You know, Dave, I'm absolutely great.
Are you? I don't think you are. I think you're lying directly to me because you guys hate the Popples, which is what we'll be talking about today. The Popples.
Us hate the Popples.
Mm-hmm. Oh, listeners, if you only heard what we were talking about offline, these guys basically wanted to lynch me for suggesting it this week. The Popples. The Popples. Too soon. Well, you know, it's not too soon. A little bit of history on the Popples.
God.
We're just going to get right into it because there's a lot of just wackiness to talk about. So, Baron's going to walk us through the sordid history of the Popples.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's dark. But so the Popples, in a weird kind of turn for this show, was a toy and then a TV show. So they are these little kind of, I mean, they're...
That just floored me as like a human being watching this now. like thinking back on the 80s, I was like, oh my god, this like at one point my jaw just actually dropped to the floor, and I was like, this is either brilliant or this is horrifying. Like this is either like an amazing dream where like you're lucid and you're just like, I'm dreaming and I'm having an awesome time, or this is like the stuff that nightmares are made of.
Yeah, I'm going to go the latter. I'm going to go nightmares because it is basically like, walking into a nightmare because everybody's acting like everything's fine and, you know, nothing's weird, but you're kind of just like, this isn't real, right? Like someone's going to come in and stop this at any moment, right? Like I'll just wake up.
Yeah, like at some point there's going to be like a dream wipe and you're going to realize that like Bonnie's been in a hospital
just
bed
Billy
the
and
entire
Bonnie
time.
in a coma from a car accident.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's gonna end like the 7th book from like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series. They're just gonna be like, oh, they've been dead the whole time. You're like, what?
Spoiler alert.
The hell.
Yeah. Maybe that's what happened in the 3 missing episodes.
Honestly, the books have been around for this long. The Popples have been around for this long. We're not spoiling anything.
True.
Shame on you if you haven't kept up with this crap.
If you haven't kept up with Popples in the last 30 years.
Shame on you, asshole.
Yeah, the deepest shame you can feel. Like, how dare you?
Here's the funniest thing, though. These things are still around. Like, still around.
I know.
And not in their previous versions. Like, they have evolved into a new version of Popples that you can still go out and buy. Now, I don't see them quite as much.
Much darker, much more evil Popples.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There are punk rock Popples. Yeah, but there are punk rock Popples. All right?
Instead of just making a mess in the library, now you got Popples supporting ISIS.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Their own pouches and then tripping over each other.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I mean.
They were just super
It's like
high.
you're in my mind. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, because that's what they do. Now, I mean, there were 47 or 44 episodes, but they were all only about like 12 minutes long. So you actually got 2 quote-unquote episodes within a half-hour block of programming. So a lot fewer than we're kind of used to. And this is in the same kind of area of shows that we've talked about before. It was in the middle of September until June, from 86 to 87. And these were actually a Saturday morning cartoon. So it wasn't just like a daily thing that was a Monday through Friday. This was only once a week. And it was Saturday mornings, and that's what it was meant for. And yeah, basically just to sell the toys, as you may have guessed. In a bit of an interesting turn here from what we usually talk about, we are going to talk about the toys. We are going to talk about the cartoon series. We are also going to talk about the first episode of Popples, which was, hold on to your butts, a live action special.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was only about 20-25 minutes long. But it was live action, had like very stereotypical like 80s suburban white family, these creepy as shit marionette and puppet Popples, who were somehow slightly more endearing than the cartoon versions of them.
I'm actually gonna say
Yeah.
that the live action episode made me cringe with delight.
With
Like,
delight?
Yes, with
That's
delight.
the word
It
you
was
wanna use?
so-
With delight of Satan.
There were so many, and I'm sorry, like I watched 3 episodes of the cartoon,
Yeah.
and I had a very challenging time
Yeah.
stomaching those 3 episodes. They were very hard to watch, but the live action was like there were parts of it that like just didn't like I don't know what it was. It just there were parts. Perfect.
You got
Let's
it.
get into it.
And not even just like, t-shirts or pants or, kind of like the A-list dirty laundry.
Right, exactly.
She went with the socks.
Yeah, the worst of the worst.
Which is basically one step up from like folding smear-marked underwear. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That was a less well-known spin-off, was the Skid Marks. It was a spin-off of Popples. But that did
No, we
not.
watched that. That's what we watched this week.
That's basically what we ended up watching. As you can probably tell, these guys, yeah, we're not a fan of this show. I suggested it because I think we just needed a little bit of a change up from sort of the action-adventure series we'd been watching. In hindsight,
And change we did.
yeah, in hindsight, terrible decision. Terrible decision. So yeah, Matt talked about the actual toys that these things were based on, which most people, I think, kids of the 80s, I don't know, you probably remember the toys more and the commercials for the toys more than the actual show. The show wasn't on all that long. Let's see, it ran...
Shocker.
Yeah, right. Well, it wasn't like a 65 episode or like we are kind of used to.
No, it did go 44 episodes.
It did. Well, I guess technically there were 47. 3 were unaired. I don't know why. Maybe there was public
What?
outcry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go public outcry over the Popples.
To be able to get my what do you here's
I
my
spent
question.
5.5 hours on tour today looking for those 3 unnamed episodes.
I think one of them was probably the drug episode, and things got real
Yeah,
dark.
that's what I was looking for. I was gonna say, what do you think that those 3 unaired episodes contain?
It's
Like,
got to be
what was
all
like
the drugs. Just Popples doing intravenous
yeah.
drugs like real
I was
hard.
going to say the Popples got into Dad's heroin stash.
Yep, you got it. And they probably
I like
saw
it.
themselves as like fully fleshed out Popples and just totally were tripping balls and just lost their yarn ball minds. But
like
yeah.
by tripping balls? Do you mean that they were pulling themselves into